Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that you and your families are safe and sound. I'm back again with another video, but this time to comment on the homework you submitted on writing an application letter. As you remember, we had dealt with writing an application letter before Morocco declared the state of emergency and before the suspension of class studies. We dealt with everything related to this topic. We first defined what we mean by an application letter. Then we talked about the two types of application letters, solicited and unsolicited application letters. We compared an application letter to a cover letter, and we talked about the differences between the two. We talked also about the language and the style that we should use while writing an application letter. And at the end, we had a look at some examples and samples. Now, before I take a look at your letters here, I'd like just to refresh our minds about what we dealt with regard to this topic. Now, let's start with the definition of an application letter. What is an application letter? An application letter is a letter that we write to apply for something, not necessarily a job. It can, of course, it can be a job, but we can apply to many other things. We can write an application letter to apply for a scholarship. You'd like to pursue your study abroad, but you don't have the means to cover your expenses abroad, so you can write an application letter for a scholarship. You can write to apply for a grant. For example, you have a project, you'd like to implement it, but you don't have the means, you don't have the capital, so you can write an application letter to a sponsoring party applying for a grant. You can also write an application letter applying for a bank loan. So as you see, we can write application letters for different other purposes apart from applying for jobs. Now, are there different types of application letters? Yes, there are. Basically, there are two types: solicited application letters and unsolicited application letters. What is a solicited application letter? It is a letter that we write in response or in reaction to a job advertisement. For example, you are reading a newspaper and then your eyes fall on a job advertisement. You read it, you think that you are the one to fill this position, you have the necessary skills and competencies to fill this position, and you decide to write an application letter to apply for this position. Now, in this case, you write a solicited application letter, okay? The opposite is unsolicited application letter. Now, an unsolicited application letter is written to inquire whether there are possible job openings or not. Okay? You don't write this letter in response or in reaction to an announcement on an advertisement that you saw. You write just to inquire. Okay, you take the initiative and you write in case there are job positions in the future. Okay? Now, what is the difference between an application letter and a cover letter? I know that a lot of people probably may think that they are the same, but in fact, they are not. There are many differences between the two. Now, let's talk about these differences. An application letter is longer in terms of its length than a cover letter. A cover letter is shorter. This is one difference. The second difference is that an application letter can stand alone. What do I mean by it can stand alone? I mean that you can use just the application letter to apply for something. You don't need to enclose other documents like, for example, a CV or your educational credentials or your job experience certificates. Sometimes when it is required, you can use just an application letter to apply. So this is what I mean by an application letter can stand alone. But a cover letter cannot stand alone. You cannot use just a cover letter to apply for a certain possession. A cover letter must be accompanied by other supporting document, like for example, your CV, your educational credentials, and your job experience certificates. If you remember, I drew an analogy in class between a cover letter and a bait. A cover letter is just like a bait. When we go fishing, we use a bait and place it at the tip of the hook to entice the fish to take a bite, and then it gets caught easily. So it's the same effect. We write a cover letter just to trigger the attention of the reader so that he or she can go and read your other documents. That's why it should be carefully written. That's why you need to give it your utmost attention. Now, this is basically the difference between a cover letter and an application letter. In terms of language, if you remember, we talked about the 7 C's that we need to stick to. There are 7 words which we deemed very important to use while writing an application letter. The first one is concreteness. Your language should be concrete, okay? Clarity, it goes without saying. Clarity is very important, not just in writing an application letter, but in all types of business communication documents. Courtesy, courtesy or politeness. You need to maintain and sustain the tone of politeness from the beginning to the end of your letter. Completeness. Completeness, don't miss a thing in terms of format and of course in terms of content. Correctness, you need to be correct in terms of your use of language, in terms of the information you submit and provide, in terms of everything related to the content and to the format of your letter. Correctness is a must. Conciseness, you need to be concise, okay? Keep it short and simple. And at the end, consideration, you need to be considerate. And when I say you need to be considerate, your language should be neutral and should not be biased against any racial, religious, cultural, or ethnic groups, okay? That's consideration. Now, these 7 C's, these 7 words should be remembered before embarking on the process of writing an application letter. Now let's take a look at some of the examples you submitted. Let's read some of your letters and see what we can say about them. Okay, now let's take this one for example here. And I think the first thing we have to look at is the format. We need to see whether the parts of the letter are used correctly or not. So the first thing that should appear at the top of your letter is your address. We call it the return address. It's here. After that, the date, and the date should be double spaced down your return address. It is here. Then double space and you write the inside address, which is the address of the recipient. Remember, please, not to use any punctuation at the end of the lines of the addresses and the date line, okay? Like for example here, if you use a full stop, it's not correct, okay? Don't use a full stop. And the same thing applies for the return address and the inside address. Okay, then double space and the salutation, dear Ms. Allens, colon. Now because you're addressing a female, you'd better use Ms, not Mrs. or Miss, unless you are asked. If you are not asked to use Miss or Mrs. by the person being addressed herself, then just use Ms, okay? Plus family name, plus colon, okay? You need to use colon. That's how full blocked format letters are written. Now then the first paragraph, what should we do in the first paragraph? We should answer the question, why are you writing? Why are you writing this letter? So the answer should come immediately. I am writing this letter to apply for a certain position, for example, okay? Now let's see whether you did it or not. With due respect and honor, I state that I am highly interested in your open possession of sales supervisor, which was advertised in a poster on postermywall.com, and I would like to apply for this vacancy. Okay, so it's very good. You stated clearly that you are writing to apply for the position of sales supervisor. Now, in the second paragraph, you need to talk in more details about your competencies, your skills, and your qualifications. Probably you can talk about your professional experience, you can talk about personal qualities, or whatever can market you. Because we said in the second paragraph and the third paragraph, what you try to market yourself, you try to sell yourself by focusing and highlighting your competencies and skills that make you the one, that make you the most suitable one to fill that vacancy. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration, and for over 8 years, I have been working in sales and customer services. That's good. I provided leadership and support to many stores associates. Full stop. That's good. In addition, I have basic computer skills and experience with track and call information, filling documents, and updating customer profiles. Now, I like this. I like this very much because you talked about your professional experience with very clear language. Okay, the sentences are short. So I appreciate this style. Okay, now let's see what you have in the second or the third paragraph. I am a serious and honest person who works well under pressure. I am very adaptable to a changing environment and able to consistently achieve goals despite stress and ambiguity. Ambiguity. How is that? Despite stress, yes, but ambiguity, I think, shouldn't be used here. Also, I have the ability to demonstrate leadership capabilities to work independently, as well as with others. I am communicative and strong at oral and written communication skills. In general, this is very good because here you are trying to talk about your personal qualities that make you a very good candidate, okay? So here you talked about your professional qualifications, and here you're talking about your personal qualities, okay? And that's very good. I believe that I can provide your company with a high quality work, okay? And I would greatly appreciate your acceptance of my candidature. You can use candidature or candidacy. You can contact me anytime by phone on my phone number here. That's great. Thank you for your consideration. That's the concluding thought, which shows that you are grateful, you are thankful and polite. Sincerely yours, and then your name and your signature should be here, okay? Now this is a very good letter on the whole. The sentences are short and clear, the language is very polite and formal, okay? No contractions are used, no short forms are used. The parts of the letter are all keyed flush on the left side. Okay, remember please not to justify your paragraphs at the end. Okay, the lines of the paragraph shouldn't be justified like this. Okay, it looks better, yes, but it is not considered formal when you write an application letter using the full blocked format. Okay, you'd better keep them like this and justified, not justified. Like this, okay? Now, on the whole, this is a very good letter in which the format is respected, and of course, the style is also appropriate. Okay, now let's take another example. Let's take this one. You don't need to write application letter here. We know that it is an application letter, so no need to write it here. You have this as a header, okay? So this is the return address, okay? The date, the inside address, the salutation, dear Ms. Allens, that's good. The first paragraph, I'm writing to apply for the vacant job you advertised on posters for a photographer. Okay, I'm writing to apply for the position of a photographer you posted on somewhere. Okay, and you say where you found the poster. Okay, I have the experience to take this position, as you will see in my CV, which is enclosed to this letter. All right, it's okay. For almost 5 years, I have been working as a freelancer, as well as I worked with National Geography in the photography department, which enabled me to work harder and gain the prize of the best photographer of 2019. Now, please avoid using long sentences. Now, here you have one sentence in one paragraph. And I said before that the longer your sentence is, the more awkward and the more redundant it is. So avoid using longer sentences like this one. You can, for example, say, for over 5 years, I've been working as a freelancer. Full stop. Okay? Full stop. Very short and simple. I also worked. I also worked with National Geography in the photography department, comma, which enabled me to work harder and gain the prize of the best photographer of 2019. Now this is better, but to use one long sentence, okay, it tarnishes your clarity. You'd better not use long sentences. Okay, let's read the third paragraph. To keep up the best performance, I'd like to work with your company as I have heard a lot about your success story. Okay, now this is something that I noticed recurrently, which is the use of punctuation marks with spaces like this. Okay, after the word, you leave a space and then you punctuate. Please don't do that. Okay, punctuation marks should come immediately after the word. Okay, don't space like this. No, no space should be left after the word. Okay, please don't do that. I want to be part of your expert staff to enhance my talent in the domain and create a fascinating work together. All right. I hope you will give me the opportunity to discuss my credentials and experience. I can be reached at phone number anytime. Okay, this is good. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. That's the conclusion or the concluding thought, which shows that you are grateful and thankful and polite. Okay, yours sincerely, your name and signature. Of course, no, the paragraphs are not justified. The parts of the letter are in their appropriate place. The language is, on the whole, it is good, but please avoid using long sentences. Okay, better stick to the KISS principle, keep it short and simple, which I reiterate all the time. Okay. All right. So good. Now let's take another example, which is the last one, and have a look at it. Okay. Now here we have the return address, the date. Yes. Now here we have the problem. No punctuation at the end of the address lines should be used. Okay, no punctuation should be used. The same thing here. In the date line, no comma after the date line. No comma after the lines of the inside address as well. Please avoid using this. That's not characteristic of the full blocks format. You may find this in the displayed style, which is considered old-fashioned and very conventional. But in the full blocked format style, which is very common and which is the most used today, you don't need to use these punctuation marks at the end of the address lines and the date line. Dear Mrs. Allen's CEO. Now you can say just Dear Ms. Allen's, okay? Dear Ms. Allen's, colon. All right. Your advertisement, please pay attention to spelling mistakes. Your advertisement for photographer, your advertisement for the possession of a photographer, for the possession of a photographer, appearing on March the 16th in the employment section of your company website. Yes. Okay, your advertisement for the possession of a photographer appearing on March 16th in the employment section of your company website. This is a fragment, okay? The sentence is not complete. You can say I am writing in response to your advertisement, for the possession of a photographer appearing on March the 16th in the employment section of your company website. Full stop. Straight after seeing the advertisement caught my attention because my experiences in this domain are closely conform your needs. Please pay attention to the language. The language here is not correct. Okay, there is ambiguity and awkwardness, of course. Now we can say the advertisement caught my attention and I am writing to apply for the advertisement. The advertisement caught my attention and and I am writing to apply for the possession of a photographer. Okay. To make it clear, you need to state why you are writing. Okay. You didn't make it clear at the beginning. Now let's see what you're saying in the second paragraph. I've been working for a photography company called Generator for 10 years. Now here it seems that you're talking about your professional experience. It might be familiar to you, but because of some financial problems in the company, I left without a job. Please, you need to capitalize I and here it, right? Capitalize I after full stops. I left without a job. Please pay attention to the use of language. Okay, but because of some financial problems in the company, I left my job. Okay. I have displayed both academic excellence, use C after X, excellence and determination in almost all aspects of my life. I'm a fast learner and have a keen eye for details, which makes me suitable for this position. As you can see from my CV, that I, again, you need to capitalize I, that I was graduated from. Now here, you fell in the trap of awkwardness, redundancy, and ambiguity because you're using very, very long sentences, okay? You start from here. I have displayed both academic excellence and determination in almost all aspects of my life, okay? I am a fast learner and have a keen eye for details, which makes me suitable for this position. You should stop right here, okay? Why making it so long? As you can see from my CV, okay, comma, I graduated, not I was graduated. I graduated from the Faculty of Arts downtown. Where downtown? Okay, which town? So you need to make it clear which town. Okay, downtown. This is not a very, very concrete language. You need to be concrete. I graduated from the Faculty of Art. I graduated from the Faculty of Art in the city of, I don't know, London, for example, or Fez or whatever. The involvement with academic activity, my involvement, okay, you get involved. Activities and experts people has increased. So here you need to stop here. Again, use short sentences. My involvement with with academic activities and experts people and experts. Experts are always people, right? And experts has increased my experience in this sphere, in this field, okay, in this field or domain. Moreover, please use short sentences. Moreover, comma, winning the National Geography Award, the National Geography Award last year gave me enough ability to earn this photographer position. I believe I would be the ideal, there's no ideal candidate, okay? There is no perfect candidate. I believe I would be the most suitable candidate based on my experiences I mentioned above. Also, I designed several photography programs for that company. I consider myself as an enthusiastic worker. I am very interested to work. Well, again, it seems that you still have syntactic problems and semantic problems in using some words, okay? You need to pay attention to your linguistic structures and to language in general, okay? Please capitalize I all the time. Look, this is a very recurrent mistake that you should avoid. Punctuation mistakes, spelling mistakes are ample, and of course, punctuation mistakes as well. Such an ambitious company like yours, as an enthusiastic worker, not as enthusiastic worker myself, it should be connected. All right. So this one here, as far as the parts are concerned, they are good, but the language is not appropriate, okay? You need to pay attention to the use of language. You see how many mistakes, spelling mistakes are corrected, and how many sentences I had to reshape, okay? So please pay attention to your language. All right, so that's it. I hope that this was beneficial. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, of course, you need to write them, and I'll be happy to answer back very soon. Thank you very much for watching this video and take good care. See you next